Welcome, dear listeners, to another spine-chilling episode of our scary stories. Tonight, we venture into the darkness with the Dark Knights of Malphas, a tale of demonic possession, ancient rituals, and a town forever haunted by the laughter of a terrifying entity. Are you ready to face your fears? Well, dim the lights, and let us begin our descent into the shadows of the unknown. Our story of the night is titled, The Dark Knights of Malphas. In the waning years of the 19th century, a clandestine assembly of affluent and powerful individuals converged in a quaint, unsuspecting town. This enigmatic group, known as the Dark Knights of Malphas, was consumed by an insatiable thirst for power and knowledge, which they sought to obtain through the arcane practice of dark magic and the veneration of a demonic being by the name of Malphas. The cultists fervently believed they could forge a vessel, a living conduit for Malphas to inhabit, and so they set their sights on a singular target. Their victim was Joseph, a hapless clown traveling with a circus that had wandered into the town. As a runaway seeking refuge, Joseph had found solace and purpose beneath the canvas of the big top, embracing the camaraderie and excitement of his newfound family. Unbeknownst to him, a sinister fate awaited, ensnaring him in the twisted machinations of the Dark Knights of Malphas and forever altering the course of his life. Under the cloak of a moonless night, the cult members gathered in a clearing deep within the heart of the woods. The air was thick with anticipation as they meticulously prepared for the ritual to summon Malphas. Clad in black robes, they formed a circle around an intricately carved stone altar, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of the torches that encircled them. As the leader of the cult raised his hands, the chanting began, the members' voices harmonizing into a haunting melody that echoed through the forest. The ground beneath them seemed to tremble with the intensity of their words, the very air around them vibrating with the energy they summoned. Upon the altar lay Joseph, his body bound and gagged, fear dilating his eyes as he struggled in vain against his restraints. The cult leader stepped forward, drawing a dagger adorned with cryptic symbols from beneath his robe. With a swift motion, he sliced the blade through the air, drawing a thin line of crimson across Joseph's forehead. As the blood dripped onto the cold stone, the wind began to howl, and a thick, unnatural darkness enveloped the clearing. The cult members' chanting grew louder, more fervent, as the sense of an impending, malevolent presence grew stronger. Suddenly, the ground cracked open, and a dark, fiery abyss revealed itself beneath the altar. The cult members, caught in the throes of their incantation, failed to notice the maelstrom of chaos they had unleashed. Malphas, a demonic entity of unimaginable power, rose from the depths, its twisted form shrouded in shadows and fire. The cult members, realizing the magnitude of their mistake, attempted to regain control of the ritual, their voices quavering with terror. But it was too late. Malphas was beyond their dominion. In a burst of hellish fury, the demon tore through the circle of cult members, their screams of agony rending the night air as their bodies crumbled to ash. The spirits of the cult members were not granted the mercy of oblivion. Instead, Malphas bound their souls to the woods, cursing them to endure an eternity of torment as penance for their hubris. Joseph, his body now a vessel for Malphas, underwent a horrifying transformation. His once jovial features warped into a grotesque caricature, his soul consumed by the malevolence of the demon that had taken residence within him. Now a twisted, malevolent clown, he haunted the woods and the town, sowing terror. The chilling legend of the demonic clown and the haunted woods permeated the town for generations, casting a shadow of fear upon its inhabitants. The dense, foreboding woods loomed at the edge of the town, a sinister presence that whispered a silent warning to all who dared to venture near. The townspeople shuddered at the mere thought of crossing the threshold into the tangled labyrinth of darkness, where the eerie silence was occasionally punctuated by the distant, malevolent laughter of the clown. A legend spoke of hapless souls who had dared to tread within the cursed woods, only to vanish without a trace, swallowed by the suffocating embrace of the ancient trees. It was said that those who heard the bone-chilling laughter of the demonic clown or bore witness to the tormented spirits of the Dark Knights of Malphas would be forever cursed, their lives forever tainted by the malevolent touch of the supernatural. Fearful whispers of the legend echoed through the town, a cautionary tale that bound the townspeople in a collective terror and ensured that the haunted woods remained untouched, a place where darkness reigned supreme. In contemporary times, a group of adventurous high school students, each with their own unique personalities and quirks, found themselves drawn to the enigmatic woods. Jane, with her rebellious spirit and an air of defiance, led the group with unwavering confidence. Mike, the strong and athletic jock, followed closely behind, his muscular frame casting an imposing shadow on the forest floor. Olivia, the erudite bookworm, trailed the others with quiet curiosity, her eyes flitting across the flora and fauna, her mind brimming with questions and wonder. The trio began using the eerie woods as a shortcut on their journey home from school, treading the well-worn path that weaved through the towering trees, their branches intertwined like twisted limbs above. They had heard the whispered tales of the demonic clown and the haunted woods that echoed through their town, chilling the spines of those who dared to listen. Yet, the brave and skeptical teenagers brushed off the warnings, dismissing the legends as mere fabrications spun to instill fear in the hearts of the townsfolk. As they tread cautiously through the woods, a faint, eerie laughter seems to whisper through the trees. At first, they dismiss it, convincing themselves it's merely a trick of their overactive imaginations. But the laughter grows, morphing into a sinister, inescapable cacophony that pierces their very souls. The air grows colder, and a sense of impending doom descends upon them. Suddenly, the mists part, revealing the tormented spirits of the Dark Knights of Malphas. Their twisted, ethereal forms flicker in and out of existence, and their once human faces contort with the pain of eternal suffering. Hollow, sunken eyes bore into the terrified teens, who feel their breath catch in their throats, paralyzed by the horrific sight before them. Panic surges through the group, and they scramble to escape, their hearts pounding furiously in their chests. But the once familiar woods now seem alien and malicious, as if the very trees themselves conspire to ensnare them in their gnarled branches. No matter how desperately they run, they remain trapped in the dark, haunted woods, the ominous laughter of the demonic clown echoing all around them, a relentless reminder of the nightmare they cannot escape. The clown materialized before them, a nightmarish distortion of Joseph. His face was a canvas of grotesque artistry, the once vibrant colors now a sinister palette of black and white. His eyes, once filled with warmth and joy, were now abyssal pools of malevolence that seemed to pierce the very souls of the terrified children. His grin stretched unnaturally wide, revealing a row of jagged, stained teeth that gleamed ominously beneath the moonlight. As the clown pursued them, his spine-chilling laughter echoed through the forest, a chorus of pure madness that haunted the air like a malevolent spirit. The children, driven by sheer terror, sprinted for their lives, their hearts pounding violently in their chests. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, and their limbs trembled with adrenaline-fueled desperation. Each glimpse of the clown's twisted visage seared itself into their minds, intensifying the cold grip of fear that clenched their hearts. The once familiar woods had transformed into a sinister labyrinth, as if the very trees conspired to trap them with the monstrous apparition. The horrifying reality of the legend they had dismissed as a mere myth crashed upon them like an avalanche, threatening to suffocate them with the overwhelming dread that clawed at their sanity. Desperate prayers for salvation surged through their thoughts, their minds racing as frantically as their legs, struggling to find a shred of hope in the face of this unrelenting nightmare. The students, their hearts pounding in their chests, stumbled upon a dilapidated cabin shrouded by the twisted branches of ancient trees deep within the woods. The structure stood as a lonely testament to forgotten times, its once vibrant exterior now weathered and overgrown with creeping vines. They hesitantly approached the cabin, the air thick with a palpable sense of unease, and stepped inside, desperately hoping to discover a means of escape. As they crossed the threshold, the cabin's floorboards groaned beneath their feet, and the musty scent of decay hung heavy in the air. Faint rays of sunlight filtered through the gaps in the rotting walls, casting eerie shadows that danced like specters in the gloom. No sooner had they entered, the door slammed shut with an ominous bang, startling the students and filling them with a bone-chilling dread. Panic-stricken, they realized they were trapped within the confines of the forsaken cabin. Then, in a sudden, heart-stopping moment, the malevolent clown appeared before them, materializing from the darkness like a twisted nightmare. Clutched in his gnarled, discolored hand was a rusty knife, its jagged blade glinting menacingly in the dim light. His eyes, cold and gleaming with sadistic pleasure, bore into the terrified souls of the students, promising a fate far worse than any they could have ever imagined. The spirits of the Dark Knights of Malphas closed in around them, an oppressive, spectral presence that sent shivers down their spines. The disembodied voices reverberated through the air, an eerie song of whispers and screams that clawed at their sanity. The students' breaths hitched, their hearts pounding as they felt the weight of unseen eyes watching their every move. Before them, a ghastly procession of trapped souls materialized, their faces contorted in agony and despair. The victims of the demonic clown from decades past reached out, their ghostly fingers grasping at the air, desperate for release from their eternal torment. Each specter bore the marks of their terrifying encounter with the twisted clown, a silent testament to the horrors they had endured. The air grew thick with tension, the atmosphere heavy with a sense of impending doom. The students were trapped in the woods, ensnared within a nightmare from which there was no escape. The spirits' haunting cries filled their ears, a terrifying symphony that echoed through the darkness, amplifying their fear. As they stood there, frozen with terror, the sinister laughter of the demonic clown drifted through the trees, sending an icy chill down their spines. The students knew they were surrounded by the souls of the damned, bound to the cursed woods for eternity, and the horrifying truth began to sink in. They were ensnared in the clown's malevolent web, with no hope of salvation. The suffocating grip of fear tightened around their hearts, threatening to consume them as the darkness closed in, sealing their fate. The clown's lips contorted into a sinister grin as he began to chant in a guttural, ancient language that the terrified students could not comprehend. A haunting melody of his incantation seemed to echo and reverberate around them, ensnaring their senses and paralyzing them with fear. Desperate, the students mustered what little strength they had left, attempting to break free from the oppressive darkness that threatened to consume them. But their weakened bodies and frantic minds betrayed them, leaving them utterly defenseless. The clown's maniacal laughter swelled and filled the air, a chilling aura that seemed to seep into their very souls. The once distant laughter now surrounded them, mocking and taunting them as they struggled in vain. Their panicked screams of terror were swallowed whole by the sinister symphony of the clown's malevolent cackles, leaving them with the dreadful realization that they were trapped, helpless, and completely at his mercy. The mayor of the town, desperate and fraught with worry, felt the weight of responsibility for the safety of his constituents. With an increasing number of missing high school students and a police force too paralyzed with fear to dare venture into the haunted woods, he knew that he had to find an alternative solution. The legend of the demonic clown and the Dark Knights of Malphas had left its mark on the town, casting a shadow that the local law enforcement refused to enter. In his search for answers, the mayor sought out Cassandra Lee, a skilled and experienced psychic medium with a reputation for confronting the supernatural head-on. As whispers of her prowess spread through the town, the mayor was left with little choice but to call upon her expertise to investigate the mysterious disappearances. Upon her arrival, Cassandra wasted no time immersing herself in the history of the town and the chilling legend of the demonic clown. As she delved into the town's archives and interviewed locals who were brave enough to share their stories, she unearthed the dark truth about the sinister Dark Knights of Malphas and their connection to the twisted clown. An extreme aura of evil lingered around the tale, seeping into the very fabric of the town, and Cassandra could sense its powerful presence. She knew that she would have to confront this malevolent force head-on to rescue the missing students and restore peace to the community. As her determination grew, the town watched with bated breath, hoping that her unique abilities would be enough to shatter the curse that had held them in its grip for far too long. Cassandra ventured into the depths of the woods, her psychic senses pulsating with the foreboding presence of malevolence. The very air felt oppressive, tainted by the unseen evil that lurked within the shadows. Her breaths were measured, each inhale a chilling mixture of decay and sorrow. A haunting sound of laughter echoed through the darkness, growing louder and more sinister with every step she took. Amidst the twisted branches and creeping undergrowth, she caught glimpses of the Dark Knights of Malphas, their spirits shackled and contorted, their hollow eyes filled with an unending torment. Unfaltering, Cassandra refused to succumb to fear. She knew she must confront the demonic clown and vanquish the demon that held the tortured souls in its sinister grip. As she pressed deeper into the forest, her psychic abilities intensified, revealing harrowing visions of the demon's malevolent power. She saw the twisted forms of the trapped souls, their faces etched with indescribable pain, their screams echoing through the trees, an agonizing symphony of despair. The forest seemed to close in around her, as if the gnarled branches sought to ensnare her, to prevent her from reaching her goal. But Cassandra's resolve remained steadfast. She called upon her psychic strength, warding off the darkness that threatened to engulf her. As she navigated the treacherous woods, her senses were assailed by visions of the demonic cloud, its grotesque features a reflection of the evil that had consumed it. She could feel the tortured spirit of Joseph within, pleading for release from his monstrous prison. The horrifying laughter grew louder, more menacing, and Cassandra knew that she was drawing closer to the heart of the darkness. With each step, the visions became more vivid, more terrifying, as the demonic force sought to break her spirit. But Cassandra would not be deterred. She steeled herself against the onslaught, prepared to face the demon and liberate the tormented souls trapped in its nightmarish realm. For she knew that only she could banish the darkness and bring peace to those who had suffered for so long. As Cassandra ventured deeper into the woods, the shadows lengthened, weaving an intricate tapestry of darkness around her. The damp, earthy scent of decaying leaves filled her nostrils, while the chilling whispers of the trees played a haunting song. The hairs on the back of her neck prickled, and she felt a sudden sense of foreboding. From the depths of the shadows, the grotesque figure of the clown emerged, his sinister grin stretching unnaturally across his face. The black and white paint, smeared and distorted, accentuated the evil that radiated from his soul. His eyes, two abysses filled with pure malice, were locked onto Cassandra's, promising unimaginable terror. Desperate to reach the remaining vestiges of Joseph's humanity, Cassandra attempted to connect with the tormented soul trapped within the demonic vessel. She spoke softly, pleading with Joseph to resist the insidious influence of Malphas. However, the demon's control was absolute, its grip on Joseph unyielding. With a sudden, guttural growl, the clown lunged at Cassandra, his grotesque form seemingly defying the laws of nature. In his gnarled hand, a rusted knife gleamed menacingly, reflecting the cold, silvery light of the moon. The blade, stained with the anguish of countless victims, hungered for Cassandra's life, eager to inflict pain and suffering upon her. Cassandra, her instincts heightened by fear, marshaled her psychic powers to repel the menacing cloud. With a surge of energy, she unleashed a forceful wave that sent the twisted creature staggering backwards, its malicious eyes momentarily widened in shock. The atmosphere within the woods crackled with the intensity of the psychic energy, and Cassandra, undeterred by the looming threat, resolved to locate and annihilate the source of Malphas' formidable power. Her senses attuned to the supernatural, she could feel the pulsating, malevolent energy coursing through the air, entwining itself around the trees and seeping into the very soil beneath her feet. She knew that in order to vanquish the demon and restore peace, she had to follow the trail of this dark energy to its very core, and dismantle the foundation of Malphas' sinister strength. Determination coursed through her veins as she embarked on her perilous mission, her psychic abilities acting as both her compass and her weapon in this climactic confrontation against the demonic cloud. Cassandra then felt an intense, almost unbearable energy radiating from a secluded cave nestled deep within the shadowy woods. As she approached the entrance, the damp, earthy scent of the forest floor mingled with an unsettling aura that sent a shiver down her spine. She would hesitate for only a moment, taking a deep breath to steady herself, before crossing the threshold into the darkness. The cave's interior was cold and damp, the air heavy with an oppressive atmosphere. The walls, slick with moisture, seemed to close in around her as she ventured further into the murky abyss. Her heart pounded in her chest, a rapid rhythm that echoed the sound of her footsteps on the uneven, rocky ground. As she rounded a bend in the cave, an eerie, dim light flicked in the distance, casting sinister shadows upon the walls. In this ghostly illumination, she beheld the clown standing before her, his twisted features even more grotesque in the half-light. His eyes, dark pools of hatred and malice, bore into her very soul, as if attempting to unravel her determination. Cassandra stood her ground, her pulse racing, the chill of the cave now replaced by the icy grip of fear. But she refused to back down, her resolve unwavering in the face of the sinister presence that had haunted the town for far too long. Cassandra's voice swelled as she intoned an ancient incantation, the syllables reverberating through the shadowy depths of the cave like a haunting melody. Her every breath seemed to amplify the eerie ambience, as if the very walls of the cavern were whispering the arcane words in unison. As she chanted, she sensed Joseph's pure spirit, a flickering flame of goodness still imprisoned within the grotesque, demonic vessel of the cloud. A sudden epiphany struck Cassandra like a bolt of lightning, illuminating the path to salvation. She understood that to banish the demon and liberate the souls ensnared within the woods, she must separate Joseph's spirit from the vile, malevolent essence of Malphas. The weight of this revelation bore down on her shoulders, yet she remained resolute, determined to release the innocent from their eternal torment and restore balance to the world. In an electrifying showdown, Cassandra stood her ground against the monstrous cloud, her voice unwavering as she recited the powerful ancient incantation. The air crackled with energy as the words reverberate through the night, each syllable a weapon against the malevolent force. The clown writhed and snarled, desperate to maintain its grip on Joseph's tormented spirit. Amidst the chaos, a warm, shimmering light emerged from within the demonic vessel, growing brighter and more resolute with each sacred word. The light manifested into Joseph's benevolent spirit, his essence fighting to break free from the darkness that had held him captive for so long. As Cassandra's incantation reached its crescendo, Malphas, the formidable demon, was vanquished, the force of the words hurling him back to the hellish realm from which he had risen. As Malphas was expelled, the spirits of the Dark Knights of Malphas were ripped away from their earthly prison, dragged screaming and wailing into the abyss alongside their demonic master. The woods trembled with the magnitude of their departure, and the once ensnared souls of countless victims, now liberated from their torment, ascend into the night sky like a chorus of ethereal fireflies. Their faces, once twisted in agony, soften into expressions of gratitude and relief as they finally find their long-sought rest and peace. The atmosphere was charged with a triumphant energy, the ancient incantation echoing into the silence, signaling a hard-won victory over the darkness that had haunted the town for decades. As the town gradually returned to a semblance of normalcy, the sun-dappled streets and cheerful laughter of children echoed once more. However, Cassandra's world was about to be disrupted. One fateful day, she received a mysterious package in the mail, its arrival unannounced and the sender unknown. The parcel itself seemed to hum with an energy that sent a shiver down her spine. Carefully unwrapping the package, Cassandra discovered a clown doll nestled within, its glassy eyes seemingly staring into her soul. The doll was dressed in a miniature, old, tattered cloak, the fabric stained with the weight of untold years. The eerie aura that radiated from the doll sent goosebumps prickling along Cassandra's skin, a cold sense of dread settling in her chest. Instinctively, she knew that this unsettling gift was a warning, a harbinger of the supernatural battles that still lay ahead. As she cradled the doll, feeling its pulsating energy, Cassandra steeled herself, accepting the responsibility that came with her unique abilities. The fight against the darkness was far from over, and she would stand on the front lines, a steadfast guardian against the encroaching shadows that threatened to consume the world she had fought so valiantly to protect. Thank you for joining us on this horrifying journey through the haunted woods and the battle against unspeakable evil. We hope the Dark Knights of Malphas has sent shivers down your spine and left you with a lingering sense of unease. Remember, the darkness never sleeps, and neither do we. Until next time, this is Our Scary Stories, signing off for tonight.